Ah, college. Living on your own. Doing what you want, when you want. Letting it all hang out. And for tens of thousands of students from mainland China studying in Australia, it's a chance to get out from under the watchful eye of their parents and take a big old hit of academic freedom.
The issue is the academic freedom they have in Australia, even though they're in this free country, is quite limited. It's more like what they'd actually experienced studying in China.
I sat down with Chinese-Australian Alexem Joskem, a freelance journalist and student at Australian National University. Well, why not? Do they have some kind of prudish RA who's against getting higher education?
No.
So why don't Chinese students want to explore their political philosophy?
I think you know, they've been growing up in China with what's known as patriotic education, and you know, I wouldn't say they're brainwashed, but they've certainly been brought up in a certain way that encourages them not to criticize the party, and that same attitude carries over when they're in Australia.
Oh yeah, I mean, we all have that political ideology we were dating back home that we say we'll be with forever. But I mean, come on, it's college. You get over that.
Yeah, I don't think they've managed to dump the party quite yet.
Clearly, these Chinese students needed to loosen up. These kids can benefit from my years at a small liberal arts college. So I donned the robes symbolic of Greco-Roman philosophy and debate. Toga! 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 What are you studying?
Accounting. Master of Statistics.
Master of International Management.
Finance, actuarial.
Software engineering.
Both of you software engineering. Have you guys ever considered taking an art class?
Maybe not.
Art class.
Yeah.
Art class.
Art class.
Art class.
Yeah.
No, I didn't take art class.
How about you?
Huh?
Art? Ever taken art class?
No.
What's the craziest political party you've been to?
Sorry?
Political.
Political party? Yeah.
Party? I think I don't have anyone.
What's been the craziest political party you've been to?
Party? Oh.
Have you ever experimented with democracy?
Democracy?
Have you voted on something or?
Not yet.
Democracy?
Yeah, democracy.
What's democracy?
Democracy.
Democracy.
Have you guys ever experimented with democracy while you're out here?
Sorry, what is democracy?
Democracy, you know.
Democracy. We didn't know it. What is market?
Don't know democracy.
Yeah.
That's okay. Well, we can move on to the next question. What do you say or do if you hear someone say something critical or bad about China?
It is interesting to exchange some ideas, but I don't think I have the responsibility to tell them you need to think in that way.
First, I might feel a bit angry when somebody talks some bad things about your mother countries. Yeah, and maybe I want to argue with him and ask him why he felt not good about my country. Yeah, and I will try to convince him of there are many good things in China.
Some people say something about Tibet and Xinjiang province, such like this. And in China, we often think that you shouldn't have bring up such ideas.
I think many people love China.
Yeah, but when they say something bad in China, I think if they're a factor, I think it's okay. Yeah, it's
okay?
Yeah.
Not very okay.
I think it's fact. You can say, you can talk something bad, and I think it can make us make progress.
But I think we'd better say some good thing to them. Let them know China is a good country.
Yeah.
Ah, youth. You never forget your first liberal democracy. But it still felt like there was something holding them back. So, There were some serious inhibitions that need to be explored. Why do these Chinese students have all these hang-ups?
Well, one major part of that is the Chinese Students and Scholars Association, which basically functions as the Chinese government's ears and eyes on campus.
So it's kind of like a frat.
Not quite.
It's a rich kid frat. I know how to handle these people. What the? It's locked, no one's home. Is this a communist party or what? Well, they wouldn't let me in. Can you get me in?
No.
Why not?
Last time I interacted with them, they followed me and tried to kick me out of the venue.
What's their deal?
I'm not really sure. Yeah, well, they just saw me going in and followed me and had people sit around me and my friend and watched us for the whole evening. And then when we went to the bathroom, they followed us too and tried to have us kicked out.
Why did the CSSA target you?
I'd previously reported on and investigated their ties to the Chinese government and also their attempts to censor free information critical of the Chinese government on campus. And for that reason, they're extremely hostile towards me.
And is it just you, or do they harass other students?
I was there with a friend who's a political dissident from China, and they were definitely targeting him as well. And I think it's not just something at this university. It's not just the CSSA at ANU. It's CSSAs all across the globe that would be willing to engage in these kinds of activities.
What are some of the ways the CSSA monitors Chinese students abroad?
Yeah, well, it's believed they're in regular contact with the embassy, and there have been a couple of cases of Chinese students or lecturers making comments in class critical of the Chinese Communist Party, and then these comments being reported back to the Chinese government. So it's quite likely that CSSAs are involved in those cases.
So how can we tell the CSSA to be cool and stay the heck out of school?
I think it's important for universities to send a message to CSSAs that they're not ever going to be endorsed by universities. They won't be allowed to use university facilities, and the university should really encourage alternative Chinese student associations that don't have these kinds of intimate ties with the Chinese government.
So how can Chinese students sort of be encouraged to come out of their shell a bit more?
Yeah, universities really need to make sure they're spread out across the university, that they don't form enclaves, that they have ample opportunities to interact with non-Chinese students and really make the most of it.
So what you're saying is we need to throw a party.
That's not what I meant.
The mother of all parties. I'm on it.
Okay.
Just like college.